The smell of smoke hit Claire before she even opened the door. It was coming from the study, her father's old study, a room no one had entered since the funeral. She pushed the door open and froze. Mike was standing by the fireplace, feeding papers into the flame. His hands moved fast, too fast. One sheet, then another. The fire crackled louder with each one. "Mike!" Claire's voice was quiet, but sharp. "What are you doing?" Mike turned around like a child caught stealing. His face was pale, eyes wide. "It's just some junk papers," he said quickly. "Old drafts. Nothing important." Claire stepped inside, heart pounding. "What papers?" "Dad's old stuff. A bunch of rough drafts. Wills, maybe." None of it was final. Claire walked closer. She could see the last paper in his hand. Her father's handwriting. The top read, "Last will and testament of Robert Hanley." "Mike, that's not junk," she said, voice trembling. "That's a will." "It's not the final one," he snapped. "It was just a draft. I swear. You don't know that." She looked down at the burning pile in the fireplace. The edges of legal paper curled in orange flame. "Why would you burn it?" He backed away from her. "Because it doesn't matter. The lawyer already filed the real one, Claire. This one was old. Outdated." Claire shook her head. "Let me see what was in it. Why are you acting like this?" Mike didn't answer. He looked nervous. Like he had been caught in something bigger than he could control. "You weren't even here when he was sick," she said, her voice rising. "I took care of him every single day. And now you show up after the funeral and start burning his papers." Mike rubbed his face and let out a shaky breath. "Claire, don't do this." "You don't get to tell me what to do," she said. "That was Dad's will. You can't just destroy it." He didn't respond. The silence between them stretched long and heavy. The fire hissed behind him. Claire looked at him, really looked. Her older brother, the one who'd left years ago. He hadn't come home for birthdays, holidays, not even when their dad was first diagnosed. He showed up 2 days after the funeral like nothing had happened, saying he needed to handle things. And now, here he was burning the one thing that could prove what their father really wanted. Claire turned and left the room without another word. She didn't trust him, not anymore. And for the first time since their father passed, something inside her said, "This isn't over." Claire sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the floor, the smell of smoke still in her hair. She couldn't stop thinking about what she had seen. Mike burning their father's will. Something wasn't right. Her chest felt tight, not just with anger but confusion, doubt, hurt. She closed her eyes, and her mind slipped back to when they were kids. Back then, Mike had always been the favorite. Everyone said so. He was the funny one, the loud one, the boy who made people smile. Teachers loved him, neighbors adored him, and their father looked at Mike like he was the future. Claire was different. She was quiet, careful, and always tried to follow the rules. She did her homework, cleaned up after dinner, helped their mother in the kitchen. But it never seemed to be enough. Their father rarely praised her. In fact, he barely spoke to her unless it was to correct something. "Sit straight, Claire. Don't speak unless you're sure. You're too soft. The world won't wait for you." Those words stuck with her, year after year. Mike, on the other hand, could do no wrong. Even when he skipped school, snuck out, or got caught lying, their father would laugh and call it growing pain. Claire remembered watching from the hallway one evening when Mike had come home drunk at 16. She expected their dad to yell. But instead, he gave Mike a glass of water, patted his shoulder, and told him to be smarter next time. Claire had gone to bed crying that night. As they grew up, things didn't change much. Mike left home young, chasing big dreams. He moved to the city, talked about business and travel and making money. He hardly ever called. Claire stayed. She got a job nearby, stayed close to help their parents, especially when their mother passed. And then came the cancer. Their father, once strong and cold, became fragile and quiet. Claire took care of him every day for almost a year. Doctor visits, medications, sleepless nights. She fed him, cleaned the house, sat beside him when he couldn't sleep. Mike didn't come. Not once. And now, weeks after their father's funeral, Mike had shown up like a storm, acting like he still had the right to decide everything. Burning papers. Taking charge. Acting like the house, the study, even the memories were his. Claire walked through the hallway of their childhood home. It felt smaller now. Empty. But not peaceful. Something was wrong. She could feel it in her bones. In the kitchen drawer, where their father used to keep bills and important mail, several envelopes were missing. She remembered seeing a stack of legal letters just a week ago. Now they were gone. She checked the cabinet where he kept the safe key. Empty. She went to the lawyer's office the next morning. Mr. Darnell had handled their father's legal work for years. She had spoken to him right after the funeral, and he had promised to share the will soon. But now his tone was different. "I'm sorry, Claire," he said, not meeting her eyes. "Your father left a very simple will. Everything goes to Mike. You weren't named." Claire felt like the floor dropped beneath her. "That doesn't make sense. I took care of him. He wouldn't leave me nothing." Mr. Darnell gave a weak smile. I can only tell you what's on record. She leaned forward. Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure no other will exists? No letters, no changes? He hesitated, just for a second, but she saw it. There was some talk months ago, he said slowly, but nothing official. Claire stood up. Her hands were shaking. If you're hiding something, I'll find out. I'm not hiding anything, he said quickly. I'm just telling you what's in the file. But Claire didn't believe him. Not anymore. That night, she sat in the living room alone, a cup of tea in her hands. Her father's favorite chair sat empty in the corner. The room was too quiet. Grief sat on her shoulders like a heavy blanket. She missed her dad. She missed the chance to talk to him one last time, to ask the questions she never dared to ask when he was alive. Had he been proud of her? Had he noticed everything she had done? And now, added to the grief, was doubt. Doubt about her brother. Doubt about the lawyer. Doubt about the truth. She remembered the fire in the study, the way Mike had looked at her. Guilty. Nervous. She wasn't sure what hurt more, what Mike had done, or the feeling that even after everything, her father might have still chosen him. Claire stared into the dark. Her jaw. Claire couldn't sleep. Her mind kept going back to that moment in the study. The fire, the paper, the look on Mike's face. She needed answers. She needed proof. Early the next morning, she remembered something. Their father had a small CCTV camera installed in the study a few years ago. It was hidden, just a tiny black dot above the bookshelf. He said it was for safety, in case someone broke in. Most people didn't even know it was there. Claire had forgotten all about it. She rushed to the study and looked around. The camera was still there. She checked behind the desk where the old recording box was kept. It was dusty but still connected. Claire turned it on. The little green light blinked. She plugged the box into her laptop and opened the files. Her hands were shaking as she clicked through the dates. She stopped at the footage from 2 days ago, the day she found Mike burning papers. She pressed play. The screen showed Mike entering the room. He looked around, then locked the door behind him. He pulled a folder from his backpack and opened it. He stared at the documents for a long time, then made a call on his phone. Claire turned up the volume. They're here, Mike said. Yeah, the will's in her name. Almost everything. No, she doesn't know. Yet. He paused, then laughed. Don't worry. I'll take care of it. Then she saw it. He took the will and fed it to the fire, 1 page at a time. Claire's heart dropped. Her breath caught in her throat. He lied. It was the real will. He knew exactly what he was doing. And someone else knew too. Someone he called. She saved the footage and copied it to a USB drive. Then she grabbed her keys and left the house. She needed to see the lawyer again. Now, Mr. Darnell looked surprised when she walked into his office without an appointment. I need to talk, she said firmly. He opened his mouth, but she cut him off. Don't lie to me. I have something you need to see. She pulled out the USB and handed it to him. He plugged it into his computer and started watching. His expression changed. First confusion, then concern, then something else, fear? When the video ended, he sat back slowly. I didn't know he did that, he said quietly. Claire crossed her arms. So you do know there was another will? Mr. Darnell rubbed his face. Yes. Your father gave me a new will about 3 months before he died. In that version, he left the majority of the estate to you. Claire's chest tightened. Why didn't you tell me? Because it wasn't signed, he said. He brought it in. We discussed it. But he said he wanted to think about it. Then he got sick again. We never finalized it. Claire stared at him. So what happened to the copy? I still have it, he said. But without his signature, it's not legally valid. She stood there, silent for a long time. So Mike gets everything because my dad didn't sign one paper? Mr. Darnell didn't answer. He just looked down at his hands. Claire stepped forward. You should have told me. From the beginning. You knew something was wrong. He sighed. Mike told me not to say anything. He said it would just make things harder. Claire's voice turned cold. For who? Mr. Darnell looked away. Claire grabbed her bag. I'm going to fix this. I don't care what it takes. As she left the office, she felt a mix of pain and anger burning inside her. The truth was finally showing, but the fight was just beginning. Claire stood in front of the house with her key in hand. She tried the lock, but it wouldn't turn. She tried again, harder this time. Still nothing. The locks had been changed. She stepped back, shocked and confused. This was her father's house. The house she had lived in for most of her life. The house she had taken care of while her father was sick. And now she couldn't even get inside. Her phone rang. It was Mike. Claire, he said, his voice cold. I changed the locks. You shouldn't be there. You changed the locks? She asked, trying to stay calm. Without telling me? It's my house now, he said. I have the legal right. You don't even live here, she said. You've been back for a week, Mike. It's not safe to have people coming in and out, he replied. And I don't want anything else to go missing. Claire clenched her jaw. You mean the will you burned? He didn't answer. I have the video, Mike, she continued. You know I do. Then go to court, he said. See how far that gets you. The line went dead. Claire stood there, heart pounding. She wanted to scream. How had things turned so fast? She had cared for their father, stayed by his side when no one else did. And now Mike was acting like none of that mattered. Later that day, she went to the bank to check the account details. Her name was supposed to be on the account, listed as joint access after their father got sick. But when she asked the bank manager, he shook his head. "I'm sorry," he said. "Your name has been removed from the estate account." "What?" Claire asked, shocked. "When?" "Last week," he said. "The documents came in, signed by the current estate holder, your brother, Michael Hanley." Claire's stomach turned. He had already started taking control of everything, money, property, decisions, and she was being pushed out. Over the next few days, she began digging deeper. She visited her father's old doctor, his accountant, even the mailman who had known them for years. Everyone seemed surprised by how quickly Mike was moving in, taking over. But no one could give her solid answers. One afternoon, Claire was walking back from the store when Mrs. Lambert, their elderly neighbor, called out from her porch. "Claire, dear," she said, "I meant to talk to you sooner. Something's been bothering me." Claire walked over. "What is it?" Mrs. Lambert leaned in close. "A few weeks before your father passed, I saw your brother come by. It was late in the evening. I thought it was strange." Claire frowned. Mike said he hadn't seen Dad in years. Mrs. Lambert shook her head. "Well, he was here. I heard them arguing. Loud. Your father told him to leave. Something about not forgiving him." Claire felt a chill. "Are you sure?" "I'm old, not deaf," Mrs. Lambert said. "Your father was angry. I could tell." That night, Claire sat alone in the guest room at her aunt's house, where she had been staying since Mike locked her out. She couldn't stop thinking about what Mrs. Lambert said. Mike had come back before their father died, and he lied about it. She felt like pieces were starting to fit, but something was still missing. Later, while looking through her old boxes stored in her aunt's garage, Claire found an old notebook of her father's. It was one he used to keep near his chair, where he liked to write notes and reminders. Tucked between the pages was a folded piece of paper. She opened it slowly. It was a letter. "Claire, I don't know how to say this face to face. I've made many mistakes, but not changing the will sooner was the worst. I was afraid. Of Mike. Of upsetting everything. But you were the one who stayed. The one who gave up your time, your life. You didn't ask for anything, and I gave you nothing in return. I'm sorry. You deserve more than I ever gave you. I hope this letter finds you, even if I don't get the chance to say these words out loud." It wasn't signed. No date. Just the words sitting heavy on the page. Claire read it again and again. Her father had changed. Maybe not enough, maybe too late, but he knew. He knew what she had done for him, and he regretted not showing it. The next morning, her Aunt Maria found her at the kitchen table with the letter in her hand. She sat down beside her. "What's that?" Maria asked. Claire handed it to her. "A letter from Dad. He never finished it." Maria read it silently. Then she looked at Claire, her eyes soft. "You know," she said slowly, "I heard something a while back. I wasn't sure if I should tell you." Claire looked up. "What is it?" "About a month before your dad passed, I came to visit. I stayed overnight. That night, I heard him on the phone. He was talking to someone. I think it was his lawyer." Claire leaned forward. "What did he say?" Maria thought for a moment. "He said he wanted to change the will. That it was time. He said, Claire has earned it. Mike hasn't been here in years. She's the one who stayed." Then he said something like, "It's not about fairness. It's about what's right." Claire's eyes filled with tears. He really was going to change it. Maria nodded. "I think he already had. But maybe something stopped him from signing it. Or someone," Claire said quietly. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Claire stood up, stronger now. The letter. The CCTV footage. Mrs. Lambert's words. Claire knew it was time. She had waited long enough. With the CCTV footage, the letter, and her aunt's story, she had enough to raise serious questions. But deep down, she also knew Mike wouldn't go down without a fight. So she came up with a plan. She called Mike and asked to meet him at the house. She told him they needed to talk one last time before things got ugly. He agreed. Claire placed a small recording device in her jacket pocket before leaving. Her hands were cold as she zipped it shut. When she arrived, Mike was already there, standing in the driveway, arms crossed. "You got what you wanted? You found some old papers, so now you think you're in charge?" Claire took a breath. "I want the truth, Mike. Just admit you burned the real will." "It was a draft," he said again. "You don't have proof." "I have video," she said, "from the security camera in the study. I know what you said on the phone. I know what you did." Mike's jaw tightened. "You think you're smart, Claire, but you don't understand how any of this worked. Dad didn't love you like he loved me. You were just a nurse to him in the end." "That's not true," she said. "Isn't it?" he said, stepping closer. "Maybe you should ask yourself why he never treated you the same. Ever wonder why you were always second? Why you never got anything?" Claire stayed calm. "He wrote a new will. It gave me almost everything. That's why you burned it." Mike smirked. "And even if that was true, how do you know it's legal?" He didn't sign it. Claire looked him in the eye. You can't erase what he wanted. Mike laughed bitterly. You want to talk about truth? Fine. Here's one for you. He paused, then said slowly, You're not even his real daughter. Claire blinked. What? You heard me, Mike said. You're not his biological child. Mom had an affair. Dad found out after you were born, but he raised you anyway. Out of guilt. Her stomach dropped. She felt like the ground was shaking beneath her. You're lying, she whispered. Am I? Mike said. Why do you think he left everything to me? Why do you think he never showed you real love? Claire couldn't speak. Her heart was pounding, her mind racing. Mike leaned in closer. You think a court will believe you deserve the estate over me? When you're not even blood. Claire turned and walked away without saying another word. Her legs were weak, but she kept going. She had the recording. That part was done. But now her world felt like it was falling apart. Later that night, Claire sat in her aunt's kitchen, shaking. Maria sat across from her, holding her hand. I don't know what to believe anymore, Claire said quietly. What if he's right? Maria's eyes narrowed. He's not. Your father never once said anything like that. And he wouldn't have taken care of you all these years if he didn't believe you were his. But what if he only did it because he felt sorry for me? Claire asked. Maria stood up. Then we find out for sure. The next day, Claire went to a DNA testing center. She brought an old hairbrush of her father's that still had some of his hair. She gave her own sample. They told her it would take a few days. Those days felt like forever. Finally, the results arrived in a plain envelope. Claire sat down on the porch and opened it with trembling hand. Result: 99.99% biological match. Robert Hanley confirmed as biological father. Claire closed her eyes and let out a long breath. The knot in her chest loosened. Mike had lied. About everything. She made an appointment with a new lawyer and brought everything. The CCTV video, the unsigned letter, her aunt's statement, and the DNA results. The lawyer listened carefully, asked questions, and took notes. We can take this to court, he said. Even if the will wasn't signed, we have evidence of your father's clear intent. That matters. They filed a legal motion to challenge the inheritance. Mike was furious when he got the notice. He tried calling Claire, yelling over voicemail, blaming her for destroying the family. She didn't answer. A week later, they all met in a legal office for a formal hearing. The lawyer presented the evidence. The video of Mike burning the will, the conversation caught on tape, the hidden letter, the DNA proof. Claire sat quietly while it all played out. When it was Mike's turn to speak, he didn't look confident anymore. Instead, he looked scared. The judge asked him if he had anything to say. Mike took a deep breath. I didn't mean for things to go this far. I thought she didn't deserve it. I thought it should be mine. And did you bribe the previous lawyer to ignore the second will? The judge asked. Mike didn't answer. But Mr. Darnell, the first lawyer, was also called in. Under pressure, he finally admitted. Mike had offered him money to keep the new will hidden. He had taken the bribe. The room fell silent. Claire looked down at her hands, not sure whether to cry or smile. In the end, the judge ruled that Claire would receive 90% of the estate, as her father had intended. The unsigned will, supported by the video, the letter, and witness statements, was accepted as proof of his true wishes. Mike would face charges for destroying legal documents and attempting to commit fraud. As the meeting ended, Claire stood up slowly. She had won, but it didn't feel like victory. She walked past Mike without saying a word. He didn't meet her eyes. Claire filed a lawsuit against Mr. Darnell the following week. Her new lawyer helped her gather everything: the bribe confession, the proof of the Real will, and the video showing what Mike had done. The court didn't take long to act. Mr. Darnell lost his license to practice law. He was ordered to pay a fine, and the estate was officially returned to Claire. Her father's house, savings, and belongings were now legally hers. It should have felt like a victory, but Claire didn't feel happy. She felt tired, worn out from all the lies, the fights, the pain. Mike was arrested and charged with fraud and destroying legal documents. He was also under investigation for bribery. Claire didn't attend the court hearing. She didn't want to sit in a room and watch her brother being punished. She had seen enough already. But one day, she felt the need to see him. Not as revenge, not for answers, just to finish the story. She visited the local holding center. They placed her in a small room with a glass wall. After a few minutes, Mike was brought in, wearing a gray prison uniform. He looked different, tired, angry, defeated. He sat down across from her. You came to gloat? He asked, voice low. No, Claire said. I just wanted to ask you something. He looked away. She spoke softly. Why did you hate me so much? Mike didn't answer at first. He stared at the floor, then finally looked up at her. You were always the favorite, he said. Claire blinked. What? Dad always talked about how quiet you were, how helpful, how responsible, he said bitterly. Even when I was young, I knew he liked you more. And when Mom died and he got sick, I wasn't ready to come back. But you stayed. You always stayed. Claire frowned. That's not true. He was never warm to me. He hardly spoke to me unless it was about chores or rules. Mike shook his head. But he trusted you. He never trusted me. I made mistakes, sure. But I always felt like an outsider in my own family. Claire sighed. That's no excuse for what you did. I know, he said. But when I found the will and saw he gave almost everything to you, I snapped. I felt like he took everything from me again. I thought if I burned it, I could fix it. I could start over. Claire's eyes were sad. You didn't just take from me, Mike. You took away what little peace I had left with Dad. You made me question everything. He looked down again. I'm sorry. Claire stood up. I didn't come here to punish you. I just needed to understand. And now I do. She walked toward the door, then turned back. I hope you find peace, Mike. But I won't carry your anger anymore. He didn't respond. Claire left the building quietly. The sun was bright outside, warm on her face. She took a deep breath and felt a small weight lift from her shoulders. Not everything was okay, but for the first time in a long while, she felt free. The bell above the door jingled softly as Claire stepped into the little bookstore. Sunlight streamed through the large front windows, falling across shelves filled with books, new and old, carefully arranged. The smell of fresh paint and paper filled the air. It was quiet, peaceful. Her father had loved this place. He used to come here every Saturday when she was a child. Now, after everything that happened, Claire had used part of the inheritance to buy it, fix it up, and open it again. She named it Hanley's Books in his memory. There was a small reading corner with 2 armchairs, a table with flowers, and a shelf labeled staff picks filled with her father's favorite titles. She had picked out every detail with care. On the front counter, next to the register, stood a simple black frame. Inside was the letter she had found in his notebook. The one he never signed, but the one that meant the most. Claire, I'm sorry. You deserve more than I ever gave you. She read it every morning before opening the shop. It didn't fix everything. It didn't bring him back. But it reminded her of who she was and what she had survived. A young couple walked in, laughing quietly. Claire smiled and welcomed them. The little bell rang again as more people entered. Slowly, the space filled with voices, footsteps, and the sound of pages turning. Claire stood behind the counter, hands resting gently on the wood, the framed letter beside her. In her heart, she still carried the pain, the questions, the memories. But she also carried something new, peace. The camera slowly pulled back as she looked out at the bookstore, filled with life. Voiceover. The truth didn't heal everything, but it set me free. Fade to black. Hey besties. Thanks so much for watching till the end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more powerful drama stories. Coming up next, her friends invited everyone except her to their girls' trip, so she booked one seat beside. You won't want to miss what happens. See you in the next one. Bye.